Top 10 Fascinating Historical Photographs. Number 10 is the first photo of the Sphinx of Giza. The Great Sphinx of Giza was assembled over 4,500 years back, in a real sense millennia before photography was designed in 1826. From that point forward, swarms of photographs of the Great Sphinx and the pyramids of Giza have been taken by individuals who came from all the edges of the world to see these superb landmarks for themselves. As some portion of what is accepted to be the principal set of photos taken of the sculpture, Maxime Duchamp snapped the photograph of the Great Sphinx, with the pyramids obvious out of sight, in 1849. By then the chest territory of the Sphinx had, truth be told, as of late been uncovered. Another photo taken in 1860 uncovered that further exhuming had revealed much a greater amount of the sculpture. Today, the whole Sphinx is noticeable, including its tail that folds over the back and stretches to its correct back paw. Just the nose, accepted to have been a meter wide, is absent from the sculpture. Number 9 is the splendor of a mausoleum. The fantastic Taj Mahal catacomb was dispatched by the Mughal ruler Shah Jahan in 1632 to hold the burial place of his better half, Mumtaz Mahal. After Jahan kicked the bucket, his remaining parts also were entombed in a burial chamber inside the catacomb. This story took a turn for the grim when a fantasy began getting out and about that said Shah Jahan cut off the hands and gouged out the eyes of all the experts and craftsmen who shipped away at the Taj Mahal to guarantee they couldn't imitate its excellence elsewhere in the world. The first ever photographs of the landmark were taken by Dr. John Murray somewhere in the range of 1858 and 1862. The main photo of the Taj Mahal portrays a side perspective and the structure with the stream Yamuna streaming before it. Number 8 is boating on Yellowstone Lake. The Yellowstone National Park is home to Yellowstone Lake, the biggest waterway in the recreation center. Pre-memorable occasions saw Native Americans populate the forested areas and valleys encompassing the lake, with the main European explorer to discover the lake, John Coulter, doing as such during the 19th century. A fishing span was included in 1902, yet shut for fishing in 1973 after the quick decay of vicious trout. In 1871, the principal reported boat cruised out on the waters of Yellowstone Lake. The Annie was cruised to Stevenson Island on July 29, 1871 and was a little canvas boat estimating 12 feet in length. The boat contained travelers, James Stevenson and Henry W. Elliot. Number 7 is Van Gogh photo controversy. Vincent van Gogh is as well known for his excellent canvases as he is for removing his own ear. The Starry Night, The Yellow House and Cypresses are among his most mainstream works of art. Van Gogh additionally made various self-representations, yet just had 2 photos taken of himself all through his lifetime. One of the photos was introduced at a presentation in 1957, during which Belgian specialist Marc Otto asserted that it portrayed a 13-year-old Van Gogh. In 2014, nonetheless, a Dutch TV program utilized imaging innovation to age-transform the Van Gogh photograph and contrasted it with the other photograph of the craftsman, taken when he was 19. It was discovered that the photographs didn't coordinate. The Van Gogh Museum took up the issue and inferred that the 19-year-old was without a doubt Van Gogh, yet couldn't convincingly demonstrate that the photograph of the 13-year-old was surely the craftsman. Numerous specialists presently accept that rather than the photograph portraying a teenage Van Gogh, it indeed portrayed his sibling, Theo Van Gogh. Number 6 is Argyll's D'Octeville dinosaur. Dinosaur fossils have entranced the total populace for quite a while. Books have been expounded on these monster animals and films delivered that show them in the entirety of their previous glory. In 1898, an unearthing in a topographical development in Europe, Argyll's D'Octeville, revealed a few bones having a place with the stegosaur. Novice geologist, scientist and classicist, Emile Sergle, took a few photographs of the uncovering cycle and it turned into the most established enduring photos of a dinosaur exhuming in Europe. Sergle had discovered a strong square of Kimmeridgian limestone on the seashore. The square contained fossilized bones and, after he informed the Natural History Museum in Le Havre, it was affirmed that the bones had a place with the dinosaur. Civil kicked the bucket in 1902, and around then, the skeleton had not at this point been distinguished just like that of a stegosaur, with it actually being portrayed inaccurately as an iguanodon in 1904. It was uniquely in 1911 that the octavial bones were first effectively portrayed as having a place with the stegosaur. Number 5 is the smiling hippo. An adorable child hippopotamus was caught on an island in the White Nile and gave to England as a trade-off for deerhounds and greyhounds in 1850. Obeisk, named after the island he was found on, showed up in London to the cheers of many energized observers. His new home, the Zoological Gardens, saw the quantity of guests twofold short-term. Obeisk appeared as though he was grinning at whatever point he slept, and he was one of the primary star creatures and the main hippo to show up in Victorian Britain. Obeisk got away from the zoo at one point, and legend has it that an animal specialist was roped in as trap to help bait the hippo back into his fenced-in area. A subsequent hippo was shipped off the zoo in 1854, named Adla. Obeisk and Adla created posterity 16 years after the fact, yet misfortune struck when their initial two calves kicked the bucket not long after birth. A third calf named Guy Fawkes was brought into the world in 1870 to endure. Number 4 is Table Mountain Cableway. Table Mountain in Cape Town, SA has filled guests with stunningness and wonder for many years. In 1790, Lady Anne Barnard turned into the main Caponian lady to scale the highest point when it must be done by walking. In 1912, plans for a cableway up the mountain began to come to fruition. On October 4, 1929, the cableway was formally opened. From that point forward, more than 20 million individuals have taken a streetcar to the top, including Arnold Schwarzenegger and Oprah Winfrey, just as Sir Edmund Hillary and George Lowe. The absolute first trolley that made the course up the mountain resembled a wooden box with windows, and taking a gander at it today, it doesn't move a lot of trust in its capacity to move a gathering of individuals up the enormous Table Mountain. However, during its long history, the cableway has kept the 100% well-being record without any mishaps happening since its initiation. Number 3 is Into the Jaws of Death. There are a considerable number of photos that have caught the repulsiveness and misfortune of war. A portion of these photographs portray the wicked outcome of fights, while others show the mental impacts that the various wars have engraved on officers and their families. Numerous photos have been made during move and reflect not just the horrible conditions the warriors needed to live in, yet the frightening activities they had no real option except to undertake. On June 6, 1944, Robert F. Chief snapped a picture of American warriors landing from LCVP at Tomahawk Beach during World War II. The photograph was named Cabs to Hell, and Back, Into the Jaws of Death, and the first inscription read, American trespassers spring from the slope of a Coast Guard-monitored landing freight ship to swim those last dangerous yards to the seashore of Normandy. Full fire will chop some of them down. Their taxi will peel itself off the sands and run back to Coast Guard-monitored transport for more passengers. This photo earned the standing of being perhaps the most acclaimed photographs of D-Day. Right around 10,000 officers were killed during D-Day. They were covered in the Normandy American Cemetery, which is situated on a bluff sitting above Omaha Beach. In excess of 1,500 officers' bodies were rarely recuperated. Number 2 was Balancing on Top of the World. On the off chance that you have a dread of statures, you probably won't appreciate taking a gander at this photograph. Acrobats Charlie Smith, Jewel Wadek and Jimmy Kerrigan played a valiant daily practice on top of an edge on the 86th floor of the Empire State Building on August 21, 1934. Nicknamed the Three Jacksons, the youngsters flaunted a perplexing difficult exercise which finished in them taking after a human figure. Number 1 is Kangaroos in Egypt. This is genuinely an interesting photograph. Not exclusively are the pyramids of Giza noticeable behind lines of fighters, one of the warriors is slouched before a kangaroo of all things. Kangaroos and different creatures were carried everywhere on the world during the First and Second World Wars by Australian soldiers who were glad to serve Australia. This is the manner by which the kangaroo in this photo made it right to Egypt. A few fighters even carried koalas and possums. Numerous Egyptians were dismayed at seeing the marsupials in their nation and dreadful terrified of them, until they were educated that kangaroos were innocuous except if incited.